After 5 years of building miniBIOTA, this system is finally going to move to a new place where I'll be able to expand this system much further. miniBIOTA is an ecosystem project that has multiple ecosystems that are all interconnected to each other, making a complete biosphere. Because it's a closed system, I call it a biosphere since it has all the equipment on the outside and everything that is living in all the systems and weather and all those kinds of things that you would find in a typical biosphere is simulated within this system. And so after all the development time that I've had here in this place, miniBIOTA is going to be moving to a new place where I will be able to expand upon this system further. So I'm really excited about that. But this move is going to be the biggest move I have ever undertaken with miniBIOTA. So there's definitely a lot of nerves when it comes to getting everything right. I've had many failures and many broken tanks in the past, and I'm definitely doing everything that I can to prevent that this time around. So in this video, I'm gonna go over just what it takes to move miniBIOTA, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so as we look at this ecosystem, there are 6 tanks and there are 4 atmospheres, all that has to be carefully choreographed out of this room and into a U-Haul so that we can get it across to a new home that's about an hour and a half away. And so the first order of business is going to be getting these atmospheres removed, the lights taken off, and everything is going to have to be very quick because we want to have the littlest amount of disturbance to the life inside of these ecosystems as can possibly be. And so that's going to be the first thing, is getting these atmospheres removed, getting the lights taken off, and then once the lights are off, the time starts to tick. Productivity stops in these ecosystems, so we definitely have the clock against us, and so we have to move quick in order to get all of this safely moved to the new location. Okay, so I think that does it for now, and let's get started with taking miniBIOTA down.
Is it all for show? I don't know, feeling like I'm on the brink of something beautiful, or maybe terrible. I know I shouldn't ask you to be open with me when I have my secrets that I tend to keep safely under lock and key. I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful, or maybe terrible. Only one way to know.
All right, so I just drained the water to the seagrass meadow biome, and this is where things get really I don't know, kind of scary. I just unscrewed the coupler here, and then before I can move anything, I have to make sure that I can kind of move this around a little bit so that nothing is stuck. Sometimes these couplers will stick to these connectors, and this one here, I haven't yet moved it around, but as soon as I start to move this one out, it's going to start leaking. Actually, it's already leaking there. So I have to move quick, but this is where we are at in this process.
Open with me when I have my secrets that I tend to keep safely under lock and key. I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful, or maybe terrible. Only one way to know. Only one way to know. Is this a yes or a no? Which way will it go? Only one way to know. Only one way to know. Only one way to know.
All right, well, here's miniBIOTA in the U-Haul. Whew, I'm completely exhausted. This was one hell of a move. The tanks are doing okay. The water level is extremely low, so we need to get everything back to the other house as fast as we can, because this is a pretty extreme situation for the organisms here, and I don't want to add any more stress than I have to. So I leave it here, and we'll see you at the new house. Okay, so I now have miniBIOTA in the new place, which is really exciting because everything went well so far. I have this tank right now lit so that it's producing while the system is isolated, and that's really important for the moment. These other tanks are okay, and then on this side, even with the lights, the life is going to just run out of oxygen pretty quickly. So I have a bubbler that is working on that end, and I transferred all of the life that I could from this tank out into this other tank. We don't know exactly if everything is doing well just yet until all the lights are on, everything is working, and then I can start accounting for all of the creatures that are inside these tanks. And the other thing that I did was I added a AC unit, which is kind of a little bit of a rig. Now I need to do something better. This is definitely not a permanent solution, but for now I have this AC unit. It produces 14,000 BTU. It's kind of just barely enough, I think, but I'll need to insulate the garage, and having this vent into the attic is definitely not the proper way of doing this. But like I said, this is just a temporary solution, and it is working for now, which is really all I need at the moment. But the next step is going to be leveling the tanks out. And once I have these tanks level, I'll make these connections to make sure that everything is hooked up the way that it needs to be hooked up. I now have miniBIOTA set up in the new place, and all of the tanks are connected with the lights now running. Now I still have a lot more work to do here. The connectors for the atmospheres are still here and they need to get set up. And I still have the wave system right over here that I have to connect. But overall, the move has been relatively successful. None of the tanks broke. So I think that everything can bounce back to the way that it was before the move. It has now been a couple of weeks since I added miniBIOTA to the garage space, and so far things have been pretty stable. This garage space does get a little warm, so I did add some insulation up in the attic, and then I also ran some duct for the AC unit that I've had running here temporarily, although this isn't so effective. And so I basically just have it turned off, and what I have instead is just the garage doors just open, and it lets in the cool AC air from the house into the garage space. But overall, the tanks are looking really well. There are some details as far as some population crashes that we can go further into, but for now, what I'm gonna do is start adding the atmospheres to these tanks. Right now I have some screens that's been kind of keeping the insects from coming out, but what I'm gonna do is start getting all of these atmospheres and assembling them now. Well, I just connected the tops that hold the atmospheres in place and then installed these couplers, these long couplers. And if you look inside, you can see that there is still the mesh inside, and that's gonna keep insects from going up into the atmospheres. Now, I normally haven't ever included these meshes in the past, but I'm gonna do it for a temporary time now, and that's just gonna be because I'm still working on the atmosphere as a system. But eventually the atmospheres are not gonna have that sort of thing included. But this is where I'm at now, and what's next is these atmospheres. Well, there we are. miniBIOTA is completely assembled in its current form. And what I'm really excited about in this area is that we're just gonna have so much more space to expand upon this system. But for now, everything is up and running, and the ecosystems are pretty stable, even though they've gone through a pretty significant move. What I could say is that over here, there has been a little bit of a challenging situation because a lot of the least killifish have actually not made it. And I think it's just because this tank got way too hot. And the way that I've temporarily solved the temperature issue is by installing a temperature controller. And I have this programmed so that it will kick on a fan if it gets too warm. And then once the temperature gets to the right range, then the fan here will kick off. And that really is enough to maintain the temperatures here, regardless of the temperatures inside of the space. And then I also have a fan that's constantly running on this end. And then over here in the marine side, I've got the same situation, and this one is cooling things down actively right now. In these other tanks, everything has been pretty much fine. On this end, as long as this fan has been running, and it has been running, the grasshoppers have been doing well. And the grasshoppers have struggled in the past with being able to survive well in this system. And I think that adding a fan has really made a big difference in allowing the grasshoppers to do much better than they normally would have done in this ecosystem. Everything else, such as the mangrove crab here, the hermit crab that is right back there, and all of these other inhabitants here have pretty much fared okay. I even have some barnacles that have established themselves all the way back in the back of the glass. These barnacles are doing great, and all of these slipper snails that are just growing on the back of the glass. Now, the slipper snails have been really thriving, and they're just pretty much everywhere here, which is kind of surprising to me, honestly. And I'm not sure, but I think they might be the significant party that is keeping this water clear, because they are filter feeders after all. Now, I have the bubbler system going for now, and that's because I still have to get the wave system programmed again, so I'll be working on that. But overall, this system is up and running, and things are doing just fine. From here, we have some significant projects that are to come. The first one is going to be the rain system. So that's going to require for the atmospheres to be closed and running again. I've got to hook up this chiller system. But before I can get the atmospheres and the chiller running, I do have to create a new heat exchanger. So that's what we have over here in this corner. And so I'll have the new heat exchangers built. After I do that, I'll hook up the chiller and just test it. And if everything works out great, well then perfect. I'll probably just rebuild these 4 atmospheres from scratch. That way we can have some fresh atmospheres that are working a little bit better. There's little mistakes throughout this build that I'd like to rectify. So I'll just rebuild these atmospheres, and hopefully we get a really good system going very soon. Once those atmospheres are complete, I will be getting this side, this freshwater side, and connecting it to the saltwater side. And I'll have an estuary that is of brackish water that will connect an unbroken link from the freshwater side all the way to the saltwater side and back, so that organisms will have the freedom to travel all the way around if they so choose. So that's going to be the big goal for this project, and I'll just keep updating as we go, and I'll hopefully have a new update once a week. In addition to the miniBIOTA project, I'm also creating a website that will track all of the species found within miniBIOTA. Every bit of data that's collected with this project will be documented and displayed on the website. So that means everything from the build itself, to timelines, to all of the different organisms and how they're all interconnected with each other. So check out miniBIOTA.com, and that way we can reach out to you every time new updates have come around. What parts of the miniBIOTA project are you most interested to see more of? Is it the interactions of the different species that are found here within this ecosystem? Is it the engineering and design that goes into all of these builds? Or is it the discovery of all of the Florida creatures that go into the system? Let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.